Thank you so much for having this space and opening this space up to us. I'm so excited for the Zine Fest tomorrow. Yay! Okay, I'm going to try not to talk too fast. Here we go. So the stories we tell about ourselves, about our communities, about our families, how we fit into these different lineages, how we make sense of ourselves over time, how we justify things or come to question them, all these are significant both in personal development and in the evolution of our interactions with each other. Stories give us context and help us position ourselves in space and time, and in the process connect us to other people, other places, times, and stories. Storytelling is also really connected to activism, to how we are taught to understand our position in the world and the limits that are placed on our creative visions for liberation in the present and future. I feel like these things function on the micro and macro levels too. When we are little, our first societies we must learn to adapt to are our families. We contort and adapt to survive and identify ourselves within those systems of personalities and significations. And those adaptation/survival strategies are a lot of times not as useful when we are older, dealing with others who of course also come with their own origin stories, and recreating our hurts and sore spots by adhering to narratives and stories about what our parents did to us and whatnot. In creating our personal narratives, we draw a lot from the past, from our current selves looking back on those versions of ourselves with new perspective. We do this storytelling by nature as a way of asserting our own authority over our stories in personal and collective ways. So the stories we tell about our lives and how we understand ourselves have real power in the world. I am a very dedicated journaler and recently ended one journal notebook and started another. And before I did the switchover, I read back through the previous 4 or so months of my life. Fuck! My last notebook picked up in the midst of some of the most severe depression I've ever experienced in my life. There are multiple times where I basically write that if it wasn't for my cat, I don't know what would keep me around. I felt so lonely and isolated and unable to make connections or headway with my life. I wasn't scared, I was just so tired. And who was I writing for anyways? My future self? My journaling is very much, this is what is happening right now, but the point of me keeping a journal, especially so devoutly, remains kind of a mystery to me. Reading back through this period in my life was so sad. I could see me trying, and wanting, but lacking focus, lacking vision, lacking all the tools and self-confidence I've tried so hard to foster since then. Reading through those journals, I read how my mind circles around the loves I've lost, the love I didn't receive, and the loves that left me in the lurch. My depression narratives are so toxic, so mired in self-negation and wondering where I left that fire. But I'm still here, obviously. I'm feeling the best I have since I moved to Beantown, and I honestly think it is because I was so fucking depressed that rock bottom broke through to a different way of positioning myself in my life. I'm tired of chasing people, done with fucking with people who don't want to fuck with me. My time and my energy are too fucking valuable, and I am done with the one-way relationships that I've had with people in my past. I am so fortunate to have found true community in my life. Such a tender and loving community of magical people who inspire me to step the fuck up and who are consistent in their care. Letting go of people and situations that I've built so much of my personal narrative around has been difficult but important work for me in these moments. I'm still doing that work of consciously recrafting my narrative and clearing out the garbage mental patterns that questionably sustained me for years and structured my world. I finally am developing an answer to that question of what is the role of love in my life. It's fucking everything. It's what connects me to my world. It's in my wiggles and my rants about social justice and archives, and it's embedded in everything whether I acknowledge it or not. It's the narrative hidden in all the other junk that I pay attention to instead of focusing on how love circulates in my world. Love for myself is what will structure my spiritual life and help me weather the ups and downs of the rest of my life. Acceptance and responsibility and love for myself as I am. Holding myself accountable when I fuck up, but doing so with kindness and care. Recognition of myself as someone worthy of that love and care. If I can love myself in this way, then I can extend that care and recognition to others and be a better friend, a better comrade in this revolution that is underway. The concept of love as an act, as a choice, is really important to me because of this. Romanticizing love is the reason for, in my history, staying in emotionally abusive relationships or giving so much of myself to others to the point of self-erasure is not only a disservice to my own well-being, but is a total misunderstanding of the value and power of true love. A love rooted in respect and care and knowledge and the choice to invest in other people's growth. Not just throwing yourself into martyrdom and putting up with all kinds of fuckery because you love someone or they love you. We all have the capacity to hurt each other, but owning our actions and our apologies is how you do love, not just by saying you love somebody. Stories are a huge part of activism too. This is also why I fuck with memory work and archives and zines. Stories are a binding agent in the work that I want to do in the world. More specifically, counter stories and using the past as a resource for critiquing the present and creatively imagining the future. Activism is a type of archive. Generations of people fighting in the streets and in their daily interactions to be recognized as fully human, as fully present and recognized. Archives are a technology for doing that work of processing, of rethreading our stories to fashion new visions for the types of worlds we can create. My story is mine, but it is also intimately connected to the stories of everyone around me. And in order to do this work, in order to do the work I want to do in this world, I have to center myself and position myself in these larger stories, see where my shared and divergent experiences shape my worldview and beliefs, and try to practice love devoutly in the process. Thank you.